Welcome to one more edition of Politics Done Right. Molly Cook, Molly Cook. Welcome to Politics Done Right. I am your host, Egberto Willies. This is a progressive program that will take the mystery out of politics. This is the program that will encourage you to make sure government becomes we the people. Whether you are liberal, progressive, conservative, or otherwise, you get to air your point of view. We are an independent media outlet that, unlike mainstream media beholden to corporations, we only owe allegiance to you. Remember, you can also send me a tweet at EGBERTOWILLIES. That is at Egberto Willies. Let us engage. It is Politics Done Right. Well, folks, welcome to one more edition of Politics Done Right. I'm Egberto Willies, your host. Thank you so kindly for being a part of the show. We are going to have a great show for you today, folks. Let me tell you. Hey, look, before I get started, I want to have a little minor rant here. MSNBC just did a piece where they interviewed four Muslims in Michigan, and they are all upset because, again, justifiably so, Biden's complete disregard. And I'm not talking words. You know, words don't mean anything without actions. Words mean nothing without action. And as Biden is saying things like, we feel for that Netanyahu must stop murdering the people in Gaza. He doesn't use those words, of course, which is are the words he should use. While he's not putting restrictions on the monies going to Israel, why he's not at this point commanding Israel to stop its murder in Gaza, and I should say Netanyahu because it's not the Israeli people, it's the IDF under the ruling of Netanyahu. So justifiably, the people in Michigan, Muslims in Michigan, feel like second-class citizens, and you know why? Because that is what they are as far as the governmental infrastructure in this country is concerned. I got a call from several, but one specific caller. And you know, when they call into my show at KPFT, I give people full latitude to make the statements that they want to make because I don't interrupt them. I want to hear them speak so that the narrative is full, so that we actually get what the people are trying to say, which is the reason why I allowed this person to speak his entire piece. And the vitriol that he had towards Palestinians and the vitriol that he initially had towards me, which changed eventually, was that how dare you talk about what the Palestinians are going through? Have you forgotten what they did to the Israelis, to those innocent Israelis? And yes, these were innocent Israelis that felt the wrath. They felt the wrath of Hamas's terrorist wing, if you will. And yeah, I get it. I understand. I don't only get it, I understand it. But when your answer to terrorism is genocide, you have lost all the empathy you deserve or empathy anyone should have on you. And that is what Netanyahu has done to the current government. And Biden, President Biden, for aligning with Netanyahu, there's a possibility that he has given up Michigan for that reality. People say, well, look, if Donald Trump comes into power, he will be worse. If Donald Trump comes into power, he will be worse for Muslims. He will be worse for Arabs. That's true. But their answer was an answer that I gave when Bush was getting a second term. I'm talking Bush 2. I told the audience then that just maybe we should give the Bush Republicans at that time, which they look saintly now compared to what we have now. I said, let them have everything that they want. Let them destroy Social Security. Let them destroy health care. Let them destroy all these things. Because then America will see what we have been trying to prevent from happening. And it's the same. That's exactly how those our Muslim brothers and sisters in Michigan feel. You are treating us like second-class citizens. You have no concern over the broken bones, the broken lives, broken and of all our fellow folk in Gaza. You have no feelings for them. You can sit back and wait for Netanyahu to have a week, 2 weeks to get to go ahead and complete his murder. Let Netanyahu, every day that's passed, that's more people with dysentery. That's more people with cracked skull. That's more dead babies. That's more starving people. That's more all these things. Innocent people as well. Just as innocent as the Israelis who were murdered. Just as innocent. And that you Brother Biden, has allowed yourself to be entangled with the inhumanity of Netanyahu and the IDF. There are enough videos out there showing what they think about Palestinians, how they treat Palestinians, how they kick Palestinians, how they kick women in their heads, the things that they accuse Palestinians of doing out of hate. You know, I told the person who called into the program on KPFT that I normally, on air, on the KPFT air, I normally try to not take on this subject by too much. But I think it's immoral for me not to speak about it, for me to not get this into the ethos. It's a it's a dereliction of my duty not to do that. So I started the program just with this because it breaks my heart to see the pain that I saw in the faces of those four people interviewed as like, you know, our lives don't really matter. Our lives don't really matter. And that's the truth. You know how we have Black Lives Matter? We need the Palestinian Lives Matter movement as well. Because 30,000 Palestinians, there were 1,200 dead Israeli brothers and sisters. And for that, we decimate Gaza. We murder 30,000 people. We have them living in tents in conditions of animals. And Biden is simply going to say, we're talking to Netanyahu to try to tell him not to commit war crimes. The war crimes have already been committed. Netanyahu belongs in front of the Hague for crimes against humanity. And that we are still blocking a ceasefire in the UN. We should be ashamed of ourselves, and we are losing. Look, it's not like America is a country that can claim any kind of moral superiority. I mean, if we want to go get a dictator, we don't mind annihilating everything around. I am a perfect example. My country of birth, Panama. I repeat it over and over again. I repeat it over and over again. Bush number one came into Panama in 1989, and he bombed around the Cuartel Nacional, the headquarters, bombed it to smithereens, killed thousands of people to get Manuel Antonio Noriega. So I mean, I can imagine a conversation between Netanyahu and Biden. Well, America does the same thing. All right. But you know the difference, uh, Noriega didn't kill any Americans. Noriega just sold a product. That product was called. Not. He didn't even sell a product. He facilitated the money, the movement of money as a capitalist, so that drugs could be sold. Certain drugs are sold in America. Wow. And for that, several thousand Panamanians died because America love drugs coming from Central and South America. So Americans like drugs. The South American countries supply them, and instead of solving the problem inside of the USA, we go bomb the smithereens out of others. What about personal responsibility? All right, let me go ahead and get the program started. I just needed to. It's been on my mind, folks. Anyway. Welcome aboard. Mike Cisak is in the house. Bridge MCP. Mike Cisak from Missouri is in the house. Bridge MCP from Binghamton, New York is in the house. Upstate New York. Michael Rudnin from Brooklyn, New York is in the house. May Wood from Long Beach, California is in the house. We also have Eric Hayes from Atascocita and Kingwood in the house. We also have let's see where I'm scrolling up. I'm scrolling up. I'm scrolling up. I'm scrolling up. Lee Grant from Montgomery County is in the house. We have Melanie Keelan from Barcelona, Spain in the house. We have Yvette Avery Herod from Atlanta, Georgia. We have anybody else that I missed? If I missed you, forgive me. Janet Siders is in the house, and she says, defeat Hamas. Don't exterminate Palestinians. Janet Siders, that is a actual statement that needed to be made. You're actually correct. Okay, I'm only reading these statements from the bottom up. Michael Rodden says, Care International. 70% of those killed in Gaza are women and children. CARE warns the UN Security Council. A child is killed every 10 minutes. You got that? A child is killed every 10 minutes. So every time Brother Biden decides not to command Netanyahu to stop or else, every 10 minutes, another Israeli kid dies, right? Another Israeli kid dies. All right, let's see. Let's see. Bridge MCP say, Berto, it's way beyond ironic that a place called the Holy Land is the location of the fiercest, most deeply felt hatred in the world. George Carlin. I know. I love George Carlin. My wife used to buy me all his books, and I always would look at his skits on HBO, etc. Love the guy. The guy was smarter than many would believe. All right, Michael Rodden has a long one here. Repeat from yesterday's Newsweek. Rashida Tlaib slammed for urging voters to withhold support for Joe Biden in primary over foreign policy, resulting in 30,000 plus Palestinians death toll. Worst case scenario, the message from the primary is retained during the general, and upwards of 20% of people who vote third party vote right in, swap red, blue, and or stay home. Democratic strategists don't get the progressives are focused on the issues, higher wages. Democratic strategists don't get that progressives are focused on the issues, higher wages, universal health care, infrastructure investment, global meltdown, free Palestine, etc. If Democratic strategists continue to push the vote blue no matter who agenda, they are going to lose even worse. They need to pick an issue or two we care about and rally. I have to add, we are not MAGA cultists. We do see President Biden as an infallible leader. If Biden or the Democrats are doing wrong, we point it out and demand better. Snippet from the article: Tlaib, the only Palestinian American member of Congress, has fought hard alongside other progressive lawmakers and pro Palestinian activists across the country to demand a permanent ceasefire in Gaza since Israel launched its military operation in the region following Hamas' surprise attack on 7/2023. That attack wasn't all that of a surprise anyway. Hamas' surprise attack killed 1,200 people in Israel and saw some 250 hostages taken, according to the Associated Press. However, over 100 hostages were released during a temporary ceasefire last year. Meanwhile, over 28,600 people in Gaza has been killed, mostly women and children, since the start of the conflict. According to the health ministry in Gaza, the AP reported on Friday Biden has maintained his strong support for Israel, but has called on Israel Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu to agree to another temporary ceasefire in order to get the hostages out. While he dilly-dally, he's called on Netanyahu. I call on Netanyahu to stop killing, to stop the genocide. I call on him. You can't call on him. You have to command him. You have to show your strength and command. You know what gives the most powerful thing? If you get on national TV and say, Netanyahu, stop now or else. Netanyahu, stop now or else. We are for not genocide. We are for not murdering. And Netanyahu needs to go to The Hague and prosecuted for war criminals, for war crimes, for genocide. A coalition of Muslim Americans is critical swing states, including Michigan, launched a abandoned Biden campaign late last year, urging voters to not reelect the president in 2024. Michael Moore was in Michigan in 2016. Michael Moore knew what was going on in not Pittsburgh, but Philadelphia in 2016. Michael Moore tried to get to those cocky SOBs that we call Democratic consultants on the East and West Coast. He tried to get to the people running the Hillary Clinton campaign, and with their snobbishness, they disregarded what he said he was seeing on the ground. And Biden is doing the same thing by thinking you can simply allow Netanyahu to continue his murdering genocide in Israel, in Gaza. You can continue to watch that with platitudes and think people are stupid to not see that somehow you care nothing about dead Palestinians. If you think that people will just sit back and forget that, remember, in Michigan, all these people have relatives in Gaza, their brothers, their cousins. There is a doctor, a Palestinian doctor, who came on TV. He lost over 50 people in his family, murdered by Netanyahu. Over 50 people in his family. What do you think that does to one's psyche? And then you are going to vote for that president that didn't say, Netanyahu, stop. I went to a Muslim dinner. I was invited. I was a special guest at a Muslim dinner recently here in Houston, where Cornel West spoke. And what was amazing is these are professionals. They understand this well. And when Cornell came and gave his speech and his respect and says what's going on in Israel, in Gaza, is a genocide, and here are these issues, and it was time to try to get Cornell on the ballot in Texas. He needs $1 million to get on the ballot in Texas, and I don't remember how many signatures. He won't have a problem. In our small room with probably 100 people, maybe a little bit over 100 people or so, somewhere around there, or maybe it was around 175 to 100 people. I'm counting the tables now. The person said this, that we are starting with the maximum contribution, $3,300, I think it was, and about a dozen hands or maybe a little bit more went up. Right then and there, Cornell got close to $40,000. First round. Second round, $2,000. Muslims were effecting their power to support. And you may say, well, look at what they're going to do. They're going to get Trump. They're saying, we are willing to get Trump because you know what? And yeah, Trump is going to be worse. But we want to show those who are taking advantage of us that you have to work for our vote the next cycle, or you will never win again. Because we are part of your constituency that makes up the whole. And you cannot afford to lose anyone. You can't afford to lose the Muslims. You can't afford to lose the Jews. You can't afford to lose the black folks. You can't afford to lose the progressive white folks. That is the coalition. That is America. That is America, the coalition of all people. And don't think that, oh, well, if you have to support what Netanyahu is doing for the Jewish vote, that is the biggest lie out there. The AIPAC is powerful, but the common rank and file Jewish person, they see the genocide for what it's about. They have organizations now, Jewish organizations now, fighting Biden, go do what's right. Netanyahu, overthrow Netanyahu. Netanyahu needs to be gone. Completely gone. All right, let's see what else we got here. Brit says, Michael, Rudden, and Eric, it's your own Republicans who crafted a bill to address the southern border with all the harshness of Republican immigration policy, then rejected it. Yeah, that's the truth. That's the truth. Bad Orange Man told them they needed the issue to remain unresolved for the election. Republicans got nothing but fear and hate to play off of. I know, and that's what all you're right. That is all that they've got now. That's all that they've got. Egberto, guess you don't know the difference between war and genocide. I do know the difference between war and genocide. And this asymmetric war has turned into genocide. They're moving people from where they are and trying to push them out of their land for ideological reason. This is genocide. There's no two way. We've went from an apartheid occupation turned into a war, turned into a genocide. And I will debate anybody on that topic. Michael says, Egberto, correct. The conservatives don't give a F about some brown people over there. They don't. And the truth is, neither does Biden. If Biden can go ahead and wait a week and 2 weeks and 3 weeks while 10 kids are dying a day, when he has the power to call up Netanyahu and said, okay, it's over. You stop or you're not funded. You stop or you're overthrown. We can't stand for people getting killed like that. Uh, let's see what else. Michael, they care about them here either. Exactly. All right, Michael says, Mike, see, Hitler wanted all of Europe for himself to expand Germany's borders, basically a threat to the whole world because his ambitions would not be quelled. Hamas wants a free Palestine. They're not the same. No, they're not. Most of the victims, and by the way, I have United fired an airline or suspended an airline pilot because he said something similar on Facebook. They suspended him. I'm arranging for an interview with him. I think he has to kind of lay low now right now, but I'm trying to get an interview with the pilot who impeccable record, impeccable record, just told a few inconvenient truths on his Facebook page. Now they suspended him. Wow, whatever happened to free speech? All right, let's see what else we got here. I'm scrolling down before I go to scrolling down. Michael Run, you support Biden's policy of women and children smuggling into sex and slave trade from Mexico. I love the way you guys say that, right? Like it's a foregone conclusion. Hmm. You better do your research. All right. Michael Ronin says, Egberto, you forgot a not in there. Again, please, for the bleachers, we are not MAGAT cultists. No, we're not. We do not see President Biden as an infallible leader. If Biden or Democrats are doing wrong, we point it out. Oh, wow. What can I say? All right. Melissa Bowie says, what was the guy's name that kept calling the station fanning Whitmire smoke? He will get Paxton together. Ask him how is the house gas bill. I know, right, Melissa? Hey, Melissa Bowie is in the house from Houston, Texas. How you doing, Melissa? Great seeing you here. Para ver quién más está aquí. Let's see. Michael says, Eric, so the specific individuals who were responsible for the deaths and rapes need to be killed. You figure out who they were specifically and go get them. You don't do a collective punishment which primarily targets innocents. It says it all. 70% of the dead in Gaza are women and children. And again, like I told that person who called into the show, think about this. Think about this. The fact that 30,000 dead Palestinians, 1,200 dead Israeli. The fact that that doesn't really touch your heart in saying, my God, what does 30,000 people look like? There are a lot of towns in Texas, hundreds of towns in Texas that do not have that. Michael Cisak is on the line. Michael Cisak, it's a pleasure to have you on. What's up?
Hey, man.
Talk to me.
So I was watching some information on the Middle East last night, and I just wanted to let you have this information and do
Where were you watching it, sir? Where were you watching it?
Well, it was on YouTube.
Okay.
I've been going through a whole bunch of videos, and I can't remember. I can't find it at the moment.
No, that's fine. That's fine. That's fine. That's fine. Go ahead.
Okay. So there is what's the canal that goes
the Suez Canal
along Egypt?
The Suez Canal
along Egypt to, huh?
I just called it out. The Suez Canal.
Suez Canal. Thank you.
Right.
Did you know that that Israel is wanting to build their own?
Of course, they're trying to go through Gaza and then take it down to the Gulf of. Yeah, I reported that as well.
Yeah.
I reported that it's more than that. It's the canal that they wanted to build. It's also there's some hydrocarbons off of Gaza that would belong to the Palestinians based on territorial waters. You know, it's a lot more to this. They just want to get people out of there, and I think you would agree with that.
Well,
go ahead, CSAC.
if they really wanted that, why did they give up complete control in 2005 and 2006?
Because the world required that. Again, they didn't give up complete control. They created a
Well,
full, let me finish. They created a
yeah,
full open air prison. What they did is they imprisoned the Palestinians in Gaza. They had no freedom of movement. Gaza and the West Bank completely separated to get from one place to the other, all kinds of permissions and checkpoints. That's not a way to live, Mike.
okay.
Go ahead.
So what would Israel have to do to try and get along with Hamas when Hamas's ultimate goal is the extermination of the Jews?
And
Should
vice
they
versa.
go halfway?
No,
Should
no,
they let them go halfway with that, or full way
no, no,
and
no.
wipe Hamas, or and let Hamas just come in, or what do you what
Sure.
do you think the
Look,
goal would be?
I am now. I'll be honest with you. Everybody's talking two-state solutions. Netanyahu has made. I'm going to answer your
Right.
question directly, but I just need to give you a little preface here. Netanyahu, for all practical purposes, has made a two-state solution impossible. Once he started settlements
Well,
that, can I finish? Once he started
no.
settlements and all these checkpoints and walls and that sort of stuff, in effect, he divvied the country up so much. If you can go and see what it looked like in 1948 all the way up till now, the truth of the matter is,
I have.
right, the truth of the matter is, two-state solution, I think now is not a viable alternative. I think we have to have one country that's a democratic country. That's my take. And the truth, while you see warring factions, Hamas killing the Jews, etc., all of that, have you noticed how Jews and Palestinians live here in America? Have you noticed
Well,
that?
let me. Okay.
There's not a
Here's
problem.
an important question.
Yes.
Okay. There is a big difference between the Middle East
Hmm.
there and
Yes.
here. Okay.
Yes.
Second generation Muslims here are not as radical as they are back in Hamas, the Gaza Strip and other places. Okay.
What does
I've
radical
been there.
mean, sir?
I know how radical they are.
Wait, what does
Okay.
radical mean?
And they haven't changed.
What does radical mean?
The belief that Jews are lower than animals and that they need to be killed,
Okay, let me
that
stop
they
you
need to
right
be
there.
wiped off the planet.
Now, I will not argue with you that there's a possibility that there are some Muslims that feel that way about Jews, but I can also tell you
That's
that
the
there.
first thing in the Hamas
Oh,
charter.
no, that's not true. But let's continue that. I mean, the first, I
Yeah,
could look
well,
at you
it
and
is,
said,
but
I could look at
I
you and
mean, you
say
can
that the first.
deny it all you
No, no, no.
want.
It's not about, sir. It's not about denial. I can tell you that in the
Well, it is.
charter of. Let me finish. I can tell you that in the charter of the Likud party, it says that Israel exists from the river to the sea. Now, when Palestinians make that statement, they're called anti-Semitic. But the Likud party says that Israel is defined as from the river to the sea. This year, not this year, last year, when Netanyahu spoke at the UN, he presented an Israeli map that didn't include either the West Bank or Gaza. So what I'm saying is, let's not take sides here. Let's take humanity. Let's take the side of humanity and not the
Okay.
side.
Well,
Do you follow?
let, let's ask the important question then.
Yes.
Okay. The important question is, in a two-state solution,
Hmm.
who would head up the not the Israeli side, but the other side, as far as the other state? Who would head that up? Hamas, the Hezbollah, Fatma's,
I can tell. I
PLO.
can.
What
I can give you an
group?
answer. I can give you a straight up answer.
Okay.
A straight up
Which
answer.
group? Which who?
You know who heads it up? Not a group. whoever the Palestinians vote for their head, whether these were former members of Hamas, whether they were former members of the PLO, whether they were former members or whatever. Because here's what people have to understand. And I wish most Americans would come and ask the question just like you did. I
Okay.
want you guys to
Well,
remember something here. No, I'm answering your
can I?
question, sir. Let me finish, CSAC. Come on.
Okay.
All right. Let me give that a perfect answer. Our founding fathers were, in the eyes of England, in the eyes of the Great Britain, they were terrorists. They killed, they maimed, and that's what they did. And actually, they used terrorists, what we call terrorist techniques, because they weren't straight up soldiers then. And when we created a nation, our number one fighter for our independence in America was George Washington, the guy who fought against Great Britain. But when the war was over, he ruled the nation. Okay? And the same thing we should give that honor to every state that comes into being. But the problem that we have is because we inherently don't give the same privileges to all humans. We see that as some sort of oh my God, if we get an official Palestinian state recognized by the world and the UN, that somehow they cannot behave accordingly. That is ridiculous. If they don't behave accordingly within nations, then the rest of the nations have the legal right to go ahead and execute. The problem is that that's not what Israel wants. Continue, my friend.
Here it is, okay? Because this question was asked in Congress, in an oversight committee of the administration when they were promoting two-state solution. And the question is, who would head it up, and have they looked at it objectively? The problem is that ever since 1948, over and over and over again, at least a dozen times, the two-state solution has been offered, and every single time, every single group of Muslims have turned it down completely. There is no person, group, or entity over in the Middle East that will accept a two-state solution.
The problem is it's
dead from the start.
Let me tell you, the people
it's absolutely dead.
No, here's what I'm saying.
Look it up.
The people.
Look it up.
Look, I know it very well. The people who designed the two-state solution, they designed it on their terms.
So then the two-state solution,
I think it's dead. It's dead. It's dead.
Dead.
It's dead. We agree on that. But what I'm saying is
because it's been dead since 48.
I agree. And the reason why is they are asking Palestinians to accept the two-state solutions not on a negotiated term, but on one side's terms. It's that simple. If you have a two-state solution where you are just being told this is what you get and that's a state solution, George Washington, our founder, would not have accepted that. In fact, our founder didn't accept that. Our founder decided, no, we're kicking your butt out of here. And not only are we kicking your butt out of here, we, the American people, are going to use genocide to go from the east to the west. So we have a history too, Mr. Cisak. We also have a history.
So you got a little problem.
Yes.
Okay. As far as revisionism here. There are many times when Israel offered a two-state solution, and along with the two-state solution, offered a huge amount of land to all the Palestinians that were either Gaza or the other area.
Okay, I get that. Stop right there. Here's what
huge
you just
amount of
said.
land. You can look. Everyone can look it up. It's
that is true. No, that is true. That is true.
Okay.
But you have that is true.
And so when you're saying
stop. No. Stop.
Then you're just lying.
CSAC, stop. No, it's not about lying. It's about if I stole your land and then I offered you some of it back. And I said, no, I want it. I don't want you to offer some of me back. I want all those people that you displaced out of their land. I want that land back. Then we can start talking. But you see, we always set the timer at the wrong point. And if you set the timer at the wrong point,
Okay,
it looks
well,
good.
let's go back to 47.
Sure, let's
Okay,
do it.
and every single Middle Eastern state where there used to be around 50 to 100,000 Jews in each of these Middle Eastern states, okay, that own land in all the different countries that are no longer there, maybe we ought to add all that land that they used to own for generations upon generations and just see how much that would add up and then give all that to the Jews.
Well,
It might be, I don't know, probably an eighth of the whole Middle East
no, let me
instead of
just say
just a
this.
tiny little bit of Israel.
No, no, I tell you what, that is silly. And let me tell you why that is silly. The truth of the matter is,
Oh,
I think you need to
okay.
study
So
history.
genocide of the
Israel,
Jews
look,
is silly
wait,
in 47.
Israel was created. Here's the bottom line, and then I got to go to the interview. Israel was created because of America and Great Britain's racism. Okay, think about that. Israel came into being just the way Monrovia came into being. All right, you know what Monrovia is, right? I am pretty sure you know what Liberia, where Liberia is. We want to
Yeah,
get rid of these black
yeah.
folk. We throw them into Liberia. We want to get rid of these Jews. We throw them. We create an Israel for them. When Biden several years ago said, "If Israel didn't exist, we would have to create it," it tells you something. But Mike Cisak, I want to first of all thank you for calling in. We can finish this discussion, and you must keep calling in. We must keep these discussions going. But I have to go play an interview
Mhm.
right now. Okay?
Okay. All right.
Thank you,
All
brother.
right.
And thank you
Later.
for calling. All right, folks. There is a candidate in Texas running for Senate District 15. I am completely and entirely impressed with this woman, not because she's running now, but for all the work that she has done previous to running, during running, and almost winning the last election, and now running again. I want you guys to listen to her, and she represent what we need to see throughout this country. Her name is Molly Cook. Check her out. Welcome to one more edition of Politics Done Right. Molly Cook. Molly Cook is a Democrat who ran for State Senate District 15 in 2022, and she came this close. But I've never seen a candidate who has worked her district the way Molly has, and I've never seen a candidate who has worked Austin for her district and for Texas the way Molly has. So I want Molly to tell us what she intends to bring to District 15. Molly Cook, welcome to Politics Done Right. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. Thank you so much, Alberto. I'm Molly Cook. I use she, her pronouns. I'm an emergency room nurse, community organizer, and Democrat running for Texas Senate District 15. And I am so excited to be running for this again and to be able to bring nursing leadership, public health, and grassroots organizing into the Texas Senate.
And let me tell you, I may be a bit biased here, but because of your health bona fides, it's one of the reasons why I think more than ever in a state like Texas, a state which has either the largest or the second largest uninsured rate of people here, I think we need somebody who has seen what it looks like to work with sick people, which at some point every one of us will be. So tell us, first of all, why did you decide to run?
I decided to run for anything ever because of what I see in my patients' lives on a daily basis. There's just so much onus placed on individuals to choose to be healthy. You're supposed to eat healthy and exercise and do all of these things. But in reality, we have toxic environments where it's impossible for people to choose to be healthy. And our healthcare system is very broken. It makes it impossible for people to navigate and to prioritize themselves and advocate for themselves. And so seeing that over and over again, seeing the economic patterns, the racial patterns, it either makes your heart very small or very big. And I went to school and got that master's in public health to help my heart grow and be soft for the people who are struggling just to live, to breathe, to raise their families in Texas. And you just become really acutely aware of the fact that there are small rooms of people making decisions that are affecting all of us and affecting my patients, making my work impossible and making their lives very difficult to live.
That is a voice that I think Austin needs. I mean, the voice that tells it from the perspective of people living it, as opposed to a voice that is solely influenced by those who run it. There's a difference. And I think people very rarely understand why our system is so broken, because those who work it, those who live it, are not the ones participating. So when you go to Austin, how are you going to talk to your peers to bring this reality to them to truly make a difference?
I think the most important thing is going to be making the Capitol accessible to everyday Texans. And so, as much as I can totally go be a voice for people I'm going to be representing, that's the structures that we have set up. What I'm most excited about is finding ways to remove barriers for people to use their own voices, to organize their own communities, and be so powerful that the people should be so organized and powerful that it almost doesn't matter who's in that seat. And so I will, of course, use public health data and expertise and nursing communication styles, right? I take care of everyone. I care for everyone in their hours of need. I love talking to anyone, even people who disagree with me, and I will bring that into the chamber and use it for the greater good. But I really do want to make things accessible for folks, educate our communities, and remove barriers so that people can get to the Capitol themselves and see and feel what it means to advocate for themselves and to shape the change that's happening in their own backyards.
Now, when you go to Austin, you're going to have to start up by advocating for some particular policy. So let's get policy specific. What specifically are you going to go to Austin and try to get through the Senate and via, of course, the Congress, that's going to make a material difference to every single Texan, and specifically Texans in your district?
So every one of us, we're in a Democratic primary. Every one of us wants Medicaid expansion. We want abortion legalized. We want to fully fund public schools. We want common sense safety firearm reforms. So what I want to talk about a little bit is kind of my own niche, and that's transportation. And I want to pick up right where we left off at the end of last session, where we left off from the session before, and work on a constitutional amendment that would allow TxDOT to spend money on anything other than roads. So Texas is the only state without dedicated public transit funding. The only state without dedicated public transit funding. I mean, the only state out of 50. We have 5 major urban areas where folks absolutely rely on public transit, absolutely rely on active transportation to get to and from work, medical appointments, school, whatever it is. And we are not funding those systems. And those systems will make transportation safer for everybody in our state, will make regional mobility more efficient, will provide economic opportunity to folks who can't afford to own a car, which we know costs around $10,000 a year. So we desperately need for TxDOT's hands to be untied. Right now, all 3 buckets of pertinent revenue that TxDOT uses to build transportation facilities are completely dedicated to highway and highway widening projects. Well, we know a highway widening project has never worked to relieve traffic meaningfully over time, and it damages communities, makes flooding, air pollution, traffic, noise, all of that worse. And so we need a champion in the Senate to go say, hey, we got a hearing on this bill 2 times in a row, but we need to really run with it and make sure that everybody understands that we're not talking about, we're really not talking about anything radical. We're just talking about letting TxDOT engineers be creative and create choice and opportunity for Texans.
Now, you are in Austin, and, I've been following you on Twitter and elsewhere. You've been working those halls on this issue. How successful were you, and what needs to be done?
It's a good question. And in Texas, especially as a Democrat, or especially as somebody who prefers life-saving or progressive policies, right? We kind of have to take our wins where we can sometimes. And we did get a couple of hearings last year during the session, and that was a big deal for Democrats. We were not getting the hearings that we deserved and needed for the policies that we care about. And we were able to show up with big groups and able to make our voices heard and push the needle a little bit. There seemed to be a little more understanding from the leadership in both the Senate and the House that, hey, TxDOT's hands really are tied, that this is not actually very functional, and we need to be thinking about spending differently differently, and even saw a couple of Republicans asking for more transparency in how TxDOT sort of makes its decisions and prioritizes where the funding goes and how they plan on their UTP, their 10-year plan. So I would say it was very successful. We also brought a group of 70 folks from Houston at one point, and gathered people from all across the entire state. And we were able to have a language translation on that trip. We provided meals, childcare stipends. It made it very accessible to people. And so we were able to go around the Capitol and have people who are experiencing the fallout of these policies actually talking directly to their legislators and their staff. So I think that was a wild success. Now, did we pass a giant bill that stops highway widenings? No, of course not. And we're going to keep working on it. And there's going to be work that happens inside the Capitol, which hopefully we'll have a champion in there to do that work, but also the work outside the Capitol to make sure folks really understand the issue, how to plug in, and how they can start to force that change to happen.
Were you living in Austin then? Because I just saw you continuously on the on the floor out there.
No, I'm so proud. 2023 was such a big year. I was working at the hospital 2 days a week. I was running the Prop B campaign with my teammates at home in Harris County, and then I was also at the Capitol about 2 days a week as well. So it was a really big year.
Yeah, that was a lot of work. I'm glad you had all that energy to do all of that. And hey, folks, that's why we need the young people running Austin, because what we need in Texas needs a hell of a lot of work and a hell of a lot of energy. Anyway, let me know what's the first thing you're going to do. You're going to jump into that Senate. You're going to have Patrick that's going to hit that gavel. What's the first thing that you're going to do?
I think the most important thing is to find somewhere that I can get along with Republicans, extend a hand and say, I want to work on this.
Hold on a second. Where is that place that you think you can get to work with Republicans?
One good example is legalizing fentanyl testing strips.
Gotcha.
So that's a Tom Oliverson policy. It's a bunch of Republicans were on that last time. And I have found wherever I am working with a community that I don't belong to, the most important thing is to show up and offer a helping hand where you can, right? And demonstrate that we want to save lives. Yes, I want to make radical change. We all do, but we want to save lives. And so it's important to find where we can work together. Last session, that was HB 2071. And I walked in day one to work with Betancourt, Gates, Chaton on a bill that did eventually pass and will impact the stock of affordable housing and will save Harris County billions of dollars over the next 20 years. And so there are going to be opportunities like that. The second thing I want to do is look for the opportunities for bipartisan statewide organizing. And I think that is transportation, Medicaid expansion, and public education. We've just seen that those tend to cross the aisles. And the last thing I want to do is find out exactly where the abortion organizing is happening and how we can start to turn out every single Democrat in our state to fight for our right to abortion back and reproductive health care in general. But I think that those are going to be kind of the three-pronged approach and how we should show up and start to really make radical change in all of our communities.
Rarely do you find somebody that has all these items ticked off that they want to do right away. I think that is great. As far as your community is concerned, how is your campaigning going? It's a pretty darn full race with a few people that's been there before. How is the race going? How are you doing?
It's going exceptionally well. I am so proud of the team. I'm so happy with the work. I keep telling people I get that feeling, oh, I must have forgotten something. And we didn't. It's just going really well. And so I'm really, really proud of the campaign that we've run. And this time we've outraised what we raised last time. We've outspent what we spent last time. We are reaching voters. We're on the doors, on the phones. We're using digital ads. The digital ad that we released second, so you can look at it on our YouTube page. It's just fantastic. It really communicates the urgency and the importance of having a nurse in this seat. And then the last thing I'll say is what's difficult in a 6-way primary is finding how are you different? That's what we've been asked in every single interview is what makes you different. And for us, it's very easy to say it's nursing. It's that I've had an abortion. It's that I'm a bisexual woman and I'm an organizer. And I've been doing this work, been turning out voters, been moving the needle, been passing policies. And I'm really, really proud to be able to make that distinction in a crowd of candidates.
Molly, what would you have liked me to ask you that I didn't? And you've talked to me before, so you know that was coming.
Just how to get involved. We need help these last couple of weeks. We are still knocking doors. We're still talking to voters. Some people who still don't know that there's a Democratic primary happening, even reliable voters. There's so much voter suppression in this state. There's so much apathy. We absolutely need help making sure that folks know that there's an election, how they vote. So you can go to @MollyForTexas on any social media platform, mollyfortexas.com. Look us up, send us a message, come help us reach people. And I promise you that you're going to make some friends and make some change and have a great time.
Molly Cook, Democratic candidate for State Senate District 15. Thank you so kindly for having been on Politics Done Right.
Thank you. Thanks for the opportunity.
Absolutely. That's Molly Cook. Really like her. She is a real activist out here. She really knows how to organize. I think it's important that folks like her make it into Congress. I see that Michael Rudnin has something here for me to put on the screen. What is this? Oh, what is that? What is that? What is that, Rudnin? Let's see. Egberta, dog is good. Went from this to this 6 stitches. Oh, that was Bridge. Oh, wow. I'm going to put that on just a quick look for people to see. That is great surgery. Wow. That looks great. That was a good surgery. Got it. Okay, I'm going to take it off now. All right. Anyway, folks, here is the deal with carried interest and all these different things. If you believe, Michael, that 10% of that $100 trillion is going to be paid in taxes, okay, that's what 100 billion would be. That's not true at all. I would bet a finger on it. That 1 trillion does not bring $100 billion in taxes at all. Punto final. No se puede con eso. All right. Let's see. When I meet you for coffee, I'm going to have to really teach you that debt isn't debt, Mr. Hayes, but that's fine. All right, folks, we are at the end of the show. I hope you enjoyed it. I want to thank Michael Cisak for calling into the show today. I want to thank all of you who participated in the great active debate on the chat. I think this is going to do extraordinarily well in the podcast, given your participation. I want to ask all of you to go ahead and please support the program however you can. And how can you support the program? You simply need to go to politicsdoneright.com/support. We need your support. politicsdoneright.com/support. Additionally, I want to ask you all to join our newsletter. Become a subscriber of our newsletter. That is at politicsdoneright.com/newsletter. And to remind you, my book is shipping. If you want, I look, everybody that read it so far loved it. They most of all they said, "How can you still be? What's that? How can you still be here?" And that's why, folks. Oh, that's my alarm. I have another interview that's coming up, so I had to set the alarm. All right, here we go. Tribulations of an Afro-Latino Caribbean man. My story. What I had to go through professionally to make it in this country. It's really a good read. It's not a subjective read. It's just an accurate read. Go to politicsdoneright.com/books and let me go to politicsdoneright.com/books. I'm putting it on the screen right now. politicsdoneright.com/books. Please support. Come on, guys. I don't know how to turn this alarm off. I think I got it up. Anyway, politicsdoneright.com/books is how you can go ahead and get a copy of either Kindle or hard copy. I don't know when I'm going to have the Audible ready, but I'm working on it. So please check it out. Tribulations of an Afro-Latino Caribbean man. And it's subtitled Racism Didn't Stop My Smile, Hope, or Journey Forward. I got to get out of here. My name is Egberto Willies. This is Politics Done Right.
And you guys know how I end this, baby. I am what? Out!
Welcome to Politics Done Right. I am your host, Egberto Willies. This is a progressive program that will take the mystery out of politics. This is the program that will encourage you to make sure government becomes we the people. Whether you are liberal, progressive, conservative, or otherwise, you get to air your point of view. We are an independent media outlet that, unlike mainstream media beholden to corporations, we only owe allegiance to you. Remember, you can also send me a tweet at EGBERTOWILLIES. That is at Egberto Willies. Let us engage. It is Politics Done Right.